Hi everyone, this is Father Rodrigo Miranda, and in this video I leave you the lesson about art and postmodernism. And if you are new here and you like these topics, please subscribe and enable the notification bell so you don't miss any video. Hope you like it and leave me your comments down below. May God bless you very much. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to this talk about art and postmodernism. And we had tried to offer some light to understand this very difficult topic, but very important one. And we all know that we live immersed in a world of work of art. They speak to us and even shape our personalities in any type of discipline of art. They are products of artists of all kinds, and these in turn are fruits of a particular society conformed to a particular vision of the world. So if we are so influenced by these means, it is necessary to become aware of this close relationship between a worldview and the works of art that it creates, and vice versa, since the works also create a particular type of culture. At all times, we must learn to discern which artistic objects we choose personally and socially as companions in our life, in our daily life. During our school years, and even in university or in an academy of fine arts, we are taught in the idea of the value and achievements of modern art. In general, the professors show us the art of this century as that which has surpassed all types of art. If we have the opportunity to get to know something called classical or traditional art, it's just like something from the past, an anecdote, something that happened but that in no way can return. We need to be with this modern art. They taught us that art is beyond any goal. It is just a way of expression, to express ourselves. Then it seems that art doesn't have any real purpose. It's whatever we make of it. If you go to a modern art exhibition show, you will find the most unbelievable and weird pieces of art. The same goes for music. You can listen to anything from a sophisticated song to a cheap piece of junk. The same happens with the movies. Something, although the film is, sometimes, although the film is very bad, the special effects make up for any lack of content, and people judge that such a film is almost a piece of art. And we all know, and nowadays it's very clear, that Hollywood and social media technocrats are groups of power that impose ideas and topics. Nothing is farther from freedom and free expression. For example, when they put on the table the issues of class struggle, the rebellion of the all-powerful woman against men, or the idea of girl power, the gender ideology, the radical feminism, racism, and along, etc. No one can disagree with the opinion of the powerful of the arts and the entertainment industry, because it will fall under the strong hand of the censorship of social platforms. Therefore, The freedom in artistic creation that avant-garde schools promote is a fallacy and illusion. That freedom doesn't exist. The big agencies, galleries, and auction houses, social networks, etc., are the ones that impose the content and mode of art, whatever the discipline. So, first of all, art as a sign of times. In art academies, we are taught to follow the spirit of the age. So we cannot be out of our time. The artist is like a mirror of society, a prophet. We cannot be outside the spirit of this age. An artist must be an advocate of revolution, anarchy, in front of the absence of direction or leadership in a postmodern society. The artist attributes themselves the role of authority to indoctrinate us through their works. They are the ones with authority to tell us what is right and wrong. According to the official art world, we must produce and like controversial and provocative works that cause noise and even violence to reject the system. Art, therefore, became an instrument to promote this more authentic liberation from the hegemonic powers, regimes, oppressive families, religious powers, and so on and so forth. And today are very popular those series that show the need to free sexuality from religious taboos, such as the very popular, the Hulu, The Handmaid's Tale, which is one of the most popular and promoted successful shows in the Anglo world, or works, series which promote instinctive, gore, animal, and pseudo-mystical life, like Game of Thrones. Therefore, if art is a reflection of a very particular time, the spirit of the age, it loses its universal capacity to move all human beings. It closes in itself and cannot be shared with others. But art also, it is not longer a mere expression, but a political instrument of activists paid by the so-called open societies. A study of relationships between worldview, political orientation, and art preferences says the role of art as a voice of protest showed the power of art as an expression. While art is born out of individuals' internal conflicts, politics are born out of societal conflicts. In this regard, art, as an expression, carries a political meaning of conflicts within self and against society. Famous work of Picasso, Guernica, was a work of art created against war and has become an icon of a political voice ever since. As observed through history, art and politics are two significant phenomena that carry information about human life. In fact, the New York Times said in June 2018, art doesn't just reflect the world, it engages it with it. Art, therefore, has become the hand of a political ideology or a party, losing its essence and becoming an instrument at the service of a cause. Its value depends on whether or not it supports the political agenda of the day. These are the methods used to carry out the present great deculturation. A French philosopher tells us, what I call the brutalization industry has three main branches. Firstly, the teaching of forgetfulness, oblivion. Secondly, the imbecilization of the masses. And thirdly, the drug, or any mean to escape from reality and live a virtual reality, such as the game industry, pornography, social media networks, etc., whose distribution, which is not indifferent, is already largely in the hands of the big companies and governments. Finally, we have been taught that art must always be innovative and original, and it is necessary to cut with the past tradition, since it doesn't speak to the individual of today. The newness lies in the instinctive, irrational, gross, incoherent, etc. That is to say, in the originality for the sake of originality, which is one more expression of postmodern narcissism and hedonism. Today's critics prefer the strangest works which move the feelings and very detached from the traditional or any reference to the intellect. It is everything about emotions. In a certain way, they push new artists to be bold in their works and not to let themselves be dominated by the rules because are bad in themselves. Rules are to be broken, and that tradition is only a beautiful past, but that it is necessary to forget in order to be successful in this field. This new generation of artists has to assume the ideals of the posthumanism. Posthumanism indicates the notion according to which the problems that afflict men, such as disease or aging, can be defeated through the use of biotechnology and genetic engineering. Through the creation of the cyborg, it is possible to achieve even immortality, as well as an exponential increase in human ability and intellect, thus controlling evolution. Jeffrey Deitch wrote, "For the post-human artist, the work look for a rebuilt body, a new type of human being. The ultimate goal, it is not to play at being gods, but to be gods in this age where God has died." The ideologues of the worldview tell us that posthuman is also the attempt to initiate a dialogue between art and science, albeit in apocalyptic terms and in some cases openly suave and disturbing, for a mutation of the species, but also of the emotions and fantasies of men, without limits or boundaries, the truest expression of the freedom of the soul, which the modern artificial world could also support and strengthen. So the current dominant framework or worldview that influence all the aspects of our life is postmodernism. We can also call it late or second modernity or hypermodernity or hyper secularized society or liquid modernity. Sigmund Bauman says that liquid modernity is the currently existing form of the modern condition. As a liquid, it is not capable of maintaining a particular form of social life in all its aspects for a long period. It is supposed to be a reaction against the unfulfilled promises of modernity. Yet, its destructive action is directed at all of Western society, as we have known it up to now. Special ferocity moves them against traditional religious structures and values. Max Weber says that the change began with Protestant thinking and the Masonic desire to destroy the Catholic order and its edifying substance. The typical progressivism of modernity also has the effect and the presumed emancipation from Christian culture, judged as past and to be overcome. We can cite some of the essential propositions undergirding postmodernity as follows. For example, the idea that a search for truth with a capital T is futile. It does not, nor has it ever existed. There are no all-encompassing universal explanations or meta-narratives. All truths are relative. Objectivity is a myth. Personal identity and values are socially, environmentally, linguistically, and subjectively constructed, especially gender. Social and political power resides with those who control language and linguistic expressions such as science, literature, and the arts. Deconstructing the language of the politically powerful is necessary in order to balance the scales toward the less preferred or oppressed. Category, they decide on who uses it according to their subjective criteria. This is where the status of the permanent victim comes into being. All interpretations are equally valid. The community takes precedent over the individual. The individual is only an avatar of the collective, which he represents. So these are several propositions that are the foundation of this postmodern condition we are on. So let's go for the genesis and purpose of this postmodernity or liquid modernity. What is the purpose of all of this? Is dissolving all that is solid. That has been the innate and defining characteristic of the modern form of life from the beginning. That intention to dissolve the solids, the foundations, require in turn the profanation of what is sacred, to deauthorize and deny the past in the first place of the tradition, That is the sediment and the residue of the past to the present. So it's dissolving all that is solid, all the foundations. This is that what current art expresses. It is not by chance that, for example, sacrilege is the start of the current art, the postmodern art. A sacrilege that goes against God and a type of sacrilege against human life itself, especially through the use of the body and the sexualization of all spheres. Let's take, for example, the works of Picasso, Jeff Koons, Marina Abramovic, Lady Gaga, the continuous sacrileges of the gay parade, or the last Met Gala in 2018 in New York about the Vatican and religious customs, the liturgical uses of garments, and so on, or the dark, threatening, and violent bias of contemporary neighborhood rap or hip hop music, even the obscene twerk style of dance, and the erotic billboards or propaganda in our main roads, etc., along, etc. So the current state of art is, in a very important measure, a sacrilege. So the modern art revolution means a fracture, not only with all the Europe's past, but also with all of art's past in general. So it's not a normal progression from the past to the present. It's a fracture. His advocates knew it well, recognized it, desired it, and provoked it. And in the euphoria of the victory of the world revolution, they also openly proclaim you have to start from scratch. That is the lemma, the motto. The heart of our ancient cities, with their cathedrals and monasteries, must be demolished and replaced by skyscrapers, said, for example, the architect Le Corbusier, who is the father of the new Catholic architecture. So modern art tends to destroy everything in the consciousness that was the authority of the past, and to impose an absolute commitment to the present. So we are in front of a re-foundation, a new beginning of our society, the so-called postmodern or post-human society. Nowadays, we are listening to the expressions of new normality with this pandemic, and is in reality it's a refoundation of our world. So let's restate a definition and purpose of art. In the present state of things, we must become aware of the danger of today's worldview that manifests itself through human acts, like works of art of an individual or a society. To wage the counter-cultural battle, we must begin with the essentials and defend the fundamental truth. A work of art is a work made by one person for another person. Every art endeavor searches for a communication between individuals as thinking beings. By this specificity, art can speak powerfully and beautifully to a holistic understanding of all dimensions of life and reality, not to our animal selves or materialistic life. Unfortunately, all the theories and movements that reduce the work of art as an effect of an emotional, irrational process or instincts, and even as an effect of automatism, seek to remove the human from the work in order to dehumanize art. It is also one more way to cancel any moral responsibility of the artist and any transcendence of the human spirit. The art produced by this culture of death shapes our lives and fills them with poison, resentment, criticism, infertility. We can apply the saying, tell me who you are hanging out with, and I'll tell you who you are. Therefore, the work of art is also the product of an artist who has been shaped in this particular vision of the world. The artist is not neutral, doesn't simply communicate, express innocent ideas, naive proposal of a better self, but their deepest feelings, their view of the world, the spirit of this age. Art is not simply about playing with colors or sounds or shapes or having a great time, but it is about convictions, ideas, concepts, and above all, about people, the meaning of life, and its ultimate end. Art is about how the world truly is a proposal. So, has to do with a metaphysical vision of reality. Contrary to today's postmodern thinking, we affirm that art can be defined, has a real purpose, and must again manifest a right view of the world that will cause men to grow culturally, socially, morally, and spiritually. A work of art has to embody those true convictions or real ideas, metaphysical ideas. That has been the true meaning of art, the incarnation of ideas, the embodiment of concept and true experiences. This has been its identity for over 20 centuries, demolished by the postmodern world view. Since this liquefied world lives under the dictatorship of relativism, we are now forbidden to define anything. The cowardice of school and university professors does not allow them to risk defending such an essential truth that has been the foundation of many civilizations since the dawn of human life. So, what is our duty now? Some say we should interact with the world, not put up walls. Interacting here means mixing without difference. Therefore, this call to interaction is a trick, is false, and it goes against the truth, which tell us that we are in the world, but not of this present world. They also tell us that as believers, for example, we have to understand the artist, especially modern ones or postmodern ones. But here, to understand means to justify whatever foolishness, junk they say through their mediocre works. However, our call is to train a critical mind. We must analyze coldly what is trying to influence our lives. No human respect, no false mercy, no cheap sentimentality, compassion, compassion and empathy. We need to train a critical mind. That is why we talk about the fundamental importance of formation to art. Art allows us to reveal the meaning of the world, of man, of the divine, catalyzing the irrepressible desires to search for a totalizing meaning of human existence. The true art, therefore, leads us to the foundation of existence and creates a relationship with it. The ennobling of language and art means a greater openness towards the ontology of being and of God, pointing out to the wise man the way towards the contemplation of reality. In the end, art is not an end in itself and doesn't justify itself, but finds its own reason for being in its relationship with God as the ultimate foundation of reality. Man expresses the truth of his relationship with God the Creator also through the beauty of his artistic works. Like any other human activity, art does not have its own absolute end in itself, but it is ordered to the ultimate end of man and ennobled by it. This is the only type of art by which beauty can save the world.